It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists.
Welcome to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome in to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 189 today. Really glad that you're with us, ready to go, ready to enjoy clothes-free living for all the right reasons for the next hour. So come on in. The pool feels great. The temperature has heated up outside. The hot tub is going full bore. The grill is going to town over there. And guess who our grill master is today? None other than the gentleman from Michigan. He was our special guest way back on episodes 89 and 90. Glad that he is here today. We have fruits and vegetables off to the right, cold drinks off to the left, hot drinks inside. And if you leave the pool area, we have all kinds of goodies outside there. We have a hammock with a naturist fiction, a library for you out there. We have some bocce ball action. We even have some putting greens out there. And if you come back in the back left corner of the pool area, we do have a cigar bar. We also have extra chairs, extra towels, extra suntan lotion. So if you showed up with absolutely nothing, that's totally fine. Just come in. Come on in, relax. Clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. Let the sun and the breeze wash over your skin. And by the time this show is over, you will be so relaxed, you'll be able to do anything in life. How about that? Well, on today's show, part one of my interview with Dan Hawkins. He is the current president of AANR-SW. He's also an author, naturist fiction, as well as other genres, writes under the pen name D.H. Jonathan. And, of course, Lisa Monroe is coming up in just a moment. In fact, I think I hear some music. Do you hear it? And let's listen. Oh, yes, I hear it. I'm sure you hear it, too. That can only mean one thing. It's time for the great, the terrific, the completely over-the-top, fully clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the one and only, the one of a kind, the completely clothes-free and fully smiling, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I tell you, there must be a really nice spot on the wall over on the other side because you keep staring at that. You don't ever look at me.
Not during the intro because we've been down that road before.
I know.
Yeah, so I have to protect myself.
Yes. Anyway, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, but some years ago, there was a new yoga studio opening in a town where I was staying. I wasn't living there, but I was staying there. And somebody had, for years, people have been telling me to get into yoga. And I thought, well, that's a girl's thing. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they showed me a video of football players engaging in yoga and basketball players. I thought, well, okay, that's a different story. And so I began to look into it. Maybe someday I'll try it. The studio opened up and they said, we'll give you one free class. Mm-hmm. Well, I can't go wrong there. So I showed up, and I was the only one who showed up. And so I had a one-on-one hour with a teacher of yoga. You know, whether they were expecting 20 or 50 or whatever, they had one. And so I got one-on-one. And I had to do this one position. I don't know what it's called, but you stand on one leg, and then you kind of lean forward. Mm-hmm. And I lost my balance a couple times. And so the teacher said, well, what you do is you find a spot somewhere, whether it's the wall or the background or whatever, and just stare at that one spot and don't lose your focus staring at that spot. So I tried it, and it worked. I had no balance issues. I really didn't have any balance issues other than that particular day. And so maybe that's what I'm doing on the show here. Things I've learned in the past in yoga, I apply to Lisa Monroe, and it works.
Well, I tell you, it's nice you have tools to handle me because, what can I tell you? But I have another question. Since you doing into yoga because of football and basketball players, getting that stretching and that Zen kind of thing going, The football players at one point in time were taking ballet. So did you ever do that?
Oh, well, first of all, I didn't know that. Secondly, I did not. And any rumors that I have tutus and ballet slippers in my closet are just that, rumors. Let's put that out there right now.
Okay.
And nervously, I think we should move along quickly if you're okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
I do remember seeing video of, I don't know if you know the name of this player, Rosie Greer.
I know Rosie Greer well.
Yeah, he played, I think, offensive line for the Los Angeles Rams.
Yes, he did.
Mammoth human being, probably close
Very.
to 300 pounds, 6'5".
Yes.
I don't know that. I just
Big
know he
boy.
was at the time one of the biggest in the league. And he would go on talk shows after he might have still been playing actually, and he would knit during the interviews. Like, here's a big, macho masculine man knitting, and so people would question, like, what the heck? And he said, hey, it's the way I relax. It takes my brain and I can focus more during the interview. So he would knit during the interviews. Now, I've not tried that, but it worked for him, so why not?
Hey, it might. So who knows?
All right. Well, we have a Patreon page. Everybody knows that, and everybody knows why. We gave up paid work to do this show for free. We love doing it, but there are expenses. You've stepped forward to help us. We appreciate that more than we can even say. We could go on the whole show and still wouldn't be enough. And on every show, we try to feature the latest people who have signed up. Lisa Monroe, who do we have today?
Today we have Tiffany and William, which is wonderful to see a couple join, and Sven. And that's just terrific. It's great to have, new people. We're getting new people all the time, so we really appreciate it, and we thank you very, very much.
And it's nice that Tiffany and William put their names together. A lot of times,
exactly,
just a man, and we'll say, thank you for joining, and then he'll write back, yeah, my wife and I enjoy your show. It's like, oh, there is a wife, so, but he didn't include it because that doesn't, we don't know that. They just sign up, and it's whatever's on their credit card is the name we get. And so I guess they both have to be on the card or go in it through a back door and add the other person. I don't know, but yeah, good to have Tiffany and William. We thank you very much. And Sven, we thank you very much. Lisa Monroe, how about the world of merchandise? Anything quick and easy you can pass along?
Oh, I just got my undercover towel, which means I can use it anywhere with just a little red leaf on it. And actually looks pretty good. I'm really pleased with the quality of the merchandise that we're getting. And so things are going well. People are buying, and that's the great thing about, naturism is that they want to show off. And we get an awful lot of full name merchandise, naked, nudist, and naturist on things. So even the N is not as important to them. So and that's a really good thing.
All right. Well, very good. How do people find our merchandise page?
They go to nakednudistandnaturist.com. Click on NNN Shop, and just, everything's there for you to take a look at and see if there's something you'd like to have for the summer.
All right, very good. Or if they're below the equator, something they want for the winter.
Yes, because the knit caps are very popular here, so we expect to see a few going to Oceania, as they say, to lower South America and Australia and New Zealand.
Definitely, absolutely. Well, we have episode 200 coming up, obviously. Everybody can do the math. It's 189 today. We're getting closer. We're not mentioning the date yet because it's not etched in cement. It's if we add that third show on Monday before 200 comes along, then 200 will come along sooner. But Lisa Monroe, 200 coming soon. Getting excited or what?
I think it's amazing, to be perfectly honest. When we started this show, and we had 5 episodes in, and we were like, oh my gosh, we've done 5 shows. This is really cool.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was 10, and then it was 50, and then it was, then we had the 100th show, which I think we still haven't recovered from.
Right.
But it seems like it started yesterday, and I know I've said this before, but it seems like it started yesterday, but yet it feels like we've done this forever. And I think that's a mark of how much fun we're having doing it.
I'm just thinking down the road, we are not leaving anytime soon. So let's say 100 years from now, when we're gone, people will still be talking about, remember those 2 people? They did not only 1 show every week, they did 2 shows and eventually 3. How in the world did they do that? So they're going to be talking about us forever. How about that?
I'm telling you, we'll leave our mark, I suppose, of some sort. I'm not sure what, but the thing about it is that what keeps us going is the feedback from our listeners, the ones who have become aware of naturism, of how they felt because they've listened to the show, the impact we've made on them, getting out there and becoming a, you know, naturist in reality, the impact we've made on spouses and partners and friends that suddenly they're going, oh well, you're not crazy after all, or maybe I should join you. And
Hmm.
I just think those are the things that drive us and make it good for us, because we there are other things we could be doing, but nothing we'd
Oh,
rather be doing.
yeah. And some things we should be doing. We're
Oh well,
not doing
that's
them.
true
So.
too. Yeah, yeah. I have a few projects that are sitting there going, remember me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
do,
exactly.
but you'll have to wait.
That's right. We also want to mention, again, even though it came out last week on April 28th, or this past week, the Tim Chizmar movie, Naked as Created, just came out on this past Tuesday. You can check it out. It's on Amazon, Amazon Prime. You can download it. You can rent it through Amazon
Hmm.
Prime. You can even buy the DVD. So, Naked as Created by Tim Chizmar, the Pastor Jim story. We've talked about that many times. We just wanted to remind you of that. All right, Lisa Monroe, let's get into AANR here about the membership numbers. We have some more information. And to make it really clear, like really clear, we still very much support AANR and the
Yes.
AANR mission. And we support the people there. We support the trustees, the office staff, the region presidents, the directors. Too many to mention because other than the paid office staff, everybody's a volunteer. And you are highly appreciated. AANR is very highly appreciated. Been around for a long time. I forgot the number of 94, 95 years or so, coming up on the 100th anniversary.
Hmm.
And we never go after people. That is not our MO. Other people do. It's like, oh, let's target them. No, we don't target anybody. But we do have a desire to make things better. And when things go south or go wrong, we're going to point that out, just in an attempt to get it to be better, not in an attempt to nail anybody. But we went over these numbers before, and we are asking AANR to produce the actual real numbers of membership on, I would say, on the website. Be as open and transparent as you possibly can. If you just send it to the members, that's better than nothing. But if you put it on the website, then everybody can know, and it might inspire other people to join. Now, our current president, as we mentioned before, on during the February midwinter meeting, she announced and had it up on a board 2,405 new members. Well, one of her goals was to increase membership. Well, son of a gun, that's fantastic,
Yep.
2,405. She did mention something about now we have to work on retaining them. To me, that was common sense. Yeah, we got them. Now let's hold on to them. What we didn't know, because she didn't say it, is that during that same time where Enter got 2,405 more members, they lost almost 3,000. And the actual loss during her tenure, during 1 year of her tenure, 509 people fewer now belong to Enter than when the current president took over. That wasn't announced at the meeting. That was either hidden or deception was involved, and that is never, ever good from anybody, but especially the leader of an organization. And before we get into the dishonesty and lying, this is just a flat out, I'm going to call it a cover up, because it was covered up. It was never mentioned. It should have been, we got 2,405 new ones. We lost about 3,000. Son of a gun, we got to work on retention. Everybody would have understood that. Okay, we lost 509, but now you're going to work on retention, so maybe it'll be better in the future. But that was never mentioned. That's where the deception comes in. And I want to mention one thing, and I'll turn it over to you. Way back in ancient history, long before you and I were born, Lisa
Hmm.
Monroe, there was a president by the name of Richard Nixon. I believe he got
Yes.
elected in 68 and got elected to a second term in 72, took office in 73 for the second term. And by the summer of 74, he was gone. Long gone, adios, out of politics, out of the presidency. And it had to do with Watergate. I'm sure everybody knows the term Watergate because it's used all the time now, no matter what, at least the gate part.
Yep.
And there was a crime committed, and we're not getting political or getting into the nuances. I've read many books on this, and they all basically say the same thing, and I don't want to get into that. But there was a crime committed. They broke into the Democrat headquarters at the Watergate Hotel. That's why it's Watergate. And Nixon had nothing to do with that. Everybody agrees. Even his worst enemy said he didn't know a thing about it. He had no idea. It was in the planning stages, whatever. But when he heard about it, his first response to his team was, well, how do we get rid of this? How do we basically cover this up, in other words? Rather than tackling it head on, like, what? Our own people did this? Well, son of a gun, they got to go. No, he said, how do we cover this up? And John Dean, the White House counsel, and remember, he's not the president's counsel. He's the White House counsel. He's there to counsel for the presidency of the United States of America, no matter who the president is. The president has his own personal attorneys. That's different from the White House attorney. Turns out John Dean was actually working with the nefarious characters, and anything Nixon would say, John Dean would pass it along. Well, that's just great. And when Nixon started talking about a cover-up in the presence of John Dean, the legal experts have said John Dean should have said immediately, stop it, knock it off. You're not allowed to break the law. In fact, I'm removing myself from this meeting, and when you're done, call me back in. But I can't sit in a room where you're openly discussing how you're going to break the law. Well, of course he didn't. He stayed there forever, ended up going to prison for it.
Yes, he did.
Well, Nixon, because he covered things up, was eventually forced to resign. They were going to impeach him and throw him out, so he just, okay, I'm out of here. I lied, I cheated, I covered up. I didn't commit a crime, but I lied, I cheated, I covered up, and now my rear end is gone. That's what happens to leaders when you lie, when you deceive your members, and you don't tell the whole story, and you try to make them look like, whoa, I am great, how great thou art, but you hid information, you covered things up. Not good, you probably have to go. Now, before I go on, Lisa Monroe, you are chomping at the bit to say something. Go right ahead.
Well, I just think it comes back to what you said in reference to telling the truth. And one of the things that I think any organization must have, whether it's governmental, whether it's a social organization like AANR is, whether it's a company, anything, transparency is the most important thing. You know, those sunshine laws are there for a reason, and even those are more political and governmental, they do make a difference, because I think any leader that says we reached these goals, we reached part of our goals, but we still have more work to do because our net result was loss, that would have been okay. We might have not liked it, but we would have been okay with it, because we'll say, okay, you've done part of this. Now what do we do to make the rest of it happen? But that's not what happened here. You know, there's probably somewhere in the minutes or somewhere that the actual numbers are recorded for AANR, but what is being presented to its members is not exactly the truth. It is misleading at best. And, you know, great, everybody's going to run around going, we've got new members, we really are growing. Well, no, you're not. And there's a reason. And I think that we have heard from a lot of people that are not happy about this.
Yeah. Now the question is: did the president of AANR intentionally lie about this? I don't think she lied at all. I think everything that she said was actually truthful.
Yes.
But there is such a thing called lying by omission.
Yes.
You know, if you leave your house, let's say you're a man married to a woman, and the man leaves the house, and he goes to the gas station, he stops for coffee at a convenience store, and he robs a bank. He comes home, his wife says, hi, honey, where were you at? Oh, I went to the store to get some coffee and I got some gas. Well, that's true.
It is true.
The words that came out of his mouth were true, but he left some key information out. That's lying by omission. So did the president of AANR intentionally lie? I don't think so. Reviewing what she said was true, Did she leave information out? Yes, absolutely. Did she lie by omission? I think that's what the experts would call it. Question is, did the trustees know this? Did the 7 trustees sit there, and they were all present, whether by Zoom or in person, knowing that she was covering things up? My work with boards in the past, and I've worked with many, I've actually been on a few boards, but worked with many more, is they did not know. Because boards generally don't know unless they're given the information. They're not there day to day. They don't run or manage anything day to day. They're more interested in policy and moving the organization forward. My guess is the trustees sitting in that meeting, wow, we went up 2405. This is great. Did they know that they had lost actually almost 3,000 with a net loss of 509? I don't know the answer. My guess, based on my interaction with previous boards and my own career, is they did not know. But it'd be interesting to know that. And if they did know that, folks, why didn't you pipe up and say, hey, Miss President, what about the ones we lost that you're covering up in, let's call it lying by omission, as the experts say? What I can say pretty much guaranteed here is the membership was misled. Yes. We're kind of sort of tied in with a lot of people who know a lot more than we do, but they tell us things. And we didn't know this. And so I went back to some of those people like, hey, what the heck here? And they said, we didn't know it either. So even the people on the, I don't want to say on the inside, but they're very involved with AANR, let's put it that way. Even they didn't know. So when the president didn't tell anybody, certainly the membership was misled. What about the other officers? I don't know. What about the trustees again? I don't know. But it's a good question to ask and should be answered, and not continue to cover up, because then you're covering up the cover up. That's the issue here. And as you said, a lot of people are writing to us, hey, you have to be kidding. Our butts are out of there as soon as our membership ends. We're not coming back. And the 3,000 they've already lost, I don't know why they lost them, but they did, and they might lose more. And again, we're here as advocates for AANR. They didn't ask us to do this, by the way, but we support them and we want them to exist and not lose more members. Lisa Monroe, take it from there.
Well, the fact is that a lot of people have said to us they are unhappy with what they're seeing with the leadership. And then hearing this situation has been, even more egregious to them. They are, quite upset. There were promises made about youth. We've had people who are young who said, I don't ever see anything that ever helps me, or any event for me, or any, information for me. And so there's just a lot of things. And AANR's an important organization. It needs to be here. Naturists need it. But they also need it to have the leadership that's going to be open and honest with them. We all know this is an issue. We all know that being a naturist is not easy. But just tell us the truth and we can deal with it. And I don't think that's what's happening here.
No. And we'll delve into this more deeply and more directly on Wednesday's show coming up. But back when the current president was running for president, she said her past leadership experience involved being a leader of a sales team and an HOA president. And she was also a member, and I think she was on the board of directors for AANR West, but not for very long. So in other words, not a whole lot of experience. And sometimes that works. Sometimes you take a leader who knows nothing, has done nothing, you throw them in, and something catches fire, and it's just great. Oftentimes it doesn't. The other guy running for president, or the guy running for president, is Joe Rives. AANR Man of the Year in 2025, has his doctorate, worked with $230 million budgets, experienced nonprofit leader. This guy has tons of experience and background and record of success in leadership. The antithesis of what we have now. And again, that's not a knock on anybody.
No.
You had no previous experience. AANR tried it. The membership tried it. It just didn't work out. And now we have the issue with lying by omission, covering up information, and not being transparent. And that's one of the big words the president has used in the past, transparency. Exactly. Well, you weren't transparent at all. So I would suggest, and we'll be more direct about this on Wednesday, Lisa, I would suggest the current president consider stepping down. resigning effective immediately. Listen, I misled the public. I misled the membership. I misled the trustees. I screwed up. I'm going to take the quiet way out, and you guys continue on forever. And if she doesn't, I would suggest the trustees step in and say, we're going to put you on leave or we're going to remove you from office because we cannot have the president misleading the membership. Be more direct on Wednesday. Lisa Monroe, your final thoughts.
Well, the one thing I do think we know is that the trustees have Anna's best interests at heart. We've seen that in how they've reacted to certain things that have been presented to them. We've seen that through the meetings. And so I think that, this is a serious consideration for them. Do you want a leader who is going to just do whatever they want and tell whatever they want? Or do you want someone who's proven they can run national associations and they know what to do? So, I know it's a difficult choice, but I think it's one that they need to consider very, very much.
Oh, yeah. It's never easy. None of that's easy. You're the head honcho. You resign. That's not easy. You're on the board of trustees. Throwing somebody out. That's not easy. But you're there for the good of the organization, not for the good of yourself or anything else. What's the right thing to do? Figure it out and then do it. And apparently, Lisa, the voting window opened yesterday. I still don't know. Haven't gotten a great answer.
It's very confusing on what's happening there.
Well, the president had posted something on April 15th, kind of said the window is open. At least that's how I read it.
Gave the impression.
And then I was told previously it was supposed to be May 15th. That's a whole 30 days there. And then it came out, no, when the May bulletin is released, which should be around May 1st. Well, the post on April 15th said it's already been released. I looked at the site. It hadn't been released or wasn't and taken down. I don't know. Lots of issues there. Lots of bobbing and weaving with the facts and with the truth. And that's why we're calling for or only suggesting today what should happen. And Lisa, with that, we really do have to duck off. We have the interview coming up. And then if you promise to continue to be naked as a jaybird, we'll get together at the end of the show. Is that a deal?
I will be naked as a jaybird, and I'll be back.
All right. We'll see you then. The very terrific Lisa Monroe as she goes dancing out of the studio yet again. Lisa Monroe does it all around here, and we appreciate her very much. Well, you are listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 189 today. Hope that you're enjoying the show. Hope you have a few moments to relax, and we certainly hope that you have joined us in being clothes-free for all of the right reasons during this hour. Our time to get together every Saturday hasn't changed, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time on Spotify. Well, let's get to part one now of my interview with Dan Hawkins, pen name D.H. Jonathan. He is the current president for AANR-SW, also an author of naturism fiction, as well as other genres. Part one with Dan Hawkins. We are headed to the great state of Texas today to speak with the president of the American Association for Nude Recreation, the Southwest region. He's been on before. Everybody knows him, so let's welcome him to the show this morning from Texas, Dan Hawkins. Good morning, Dan. How are you today, sir?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing fine. It's great to be back here again.
Yeah, you've been on a few times. We had a lengthy interview during our very first year. In fact, I think your first interview was in the single digits of our show.
I think so. I think I was on episodes 7 and 8, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just going by memory, I think you were 7 and 8, and we talked a lot about you and everything you've done so far in the world of naturism, your books, your modeling career, the TV show. But today we're going to focus on AANR-SW because somehow, some way, you got elected to be president. How about that, Big Dan Hawkins?
Yeah, that well, it's funny. I was the nominations chair in 2024, so it was my job to find somebody to run for president, and everybody I approached didn't want to do it.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess I got it by default.
I remember way back when, as they were gearing up for the 2000 presidential election of our country, the United States.
Yeah.
George Bush, the son, needed a VP candidate. So they picked Dick Cheney. Dick, go out there and find the best vice president you could find.
Yeah.
And he interviewed tons of people, and he finally came back, said, I think the best candidate for vice president is myself. So that's what happened.
Yeah, I regularly remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course, everything that happened in that election after the voting is what people remember now.
Oh that was quite a wild time for sure. We don't need to rehash that. We'll get in trouble if we do, probably, right?
Yeah, probably.
Now, as I recall, being president of a region is a 2-year term, but you can run for a second 2-year term. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So I am in the second year of my first 2-year term,
Okay.
assuming I get a second. But I haven't talked to anybody that's interested in running for
Well,
president. So
that probably means you're doing a good job, so they're just going to let you have it again. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
yeah, I guess I don't know. Sometimes sometimes it gets a little overwhelming with everything going on in life and financial things, and we've got this volunteer gig as the president of AANR-SW, and sometimes I feel like I really should do more, but it's just very difficult to carve the time out to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably never get to the point where you feel like you've done enough. It's just one of those positions. You could go 7 days a week, and you probably do, 7 nights a week, and you probably do, and you still don't think it's enough time. It's just the nature of the job, at least in my view. Is that kind of how you and the other folks see it?
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It's always think I can do better, but and I feel that way about other things. Like some of the books I write, I look at them and go, well, I could have done that better. But I went to a screenwriting conference in 2003. One of the presentations I went to was William Goldman, who is an incredible screenwriter. He's brought in to doctor scripts that have problems, and plus he had written a bunch up to that point. He said he's only satisfied with 2 of them.
Wow, I believe it.
Yeah, and the 2 were incredible. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the screenplay, that was one of them, and the novel and screenplay for The Princess Bride, that was the other.
Well, that's 2 pretty good projects right there.
Yeah.
They always say to constantly seek wisdom and knowledge, and if you ever get to the point where you say, boy, I nailed that, I can just rest on my laurels for the rest of my life, that probably means you stop learning and seeking wisdom. So the fact that you're thinking, I could have done that better, and that probably means at the same time, next time I will do it better, right?
Yeah. Hopefully.
yeah. Well, I mean, at least you'll be trying. We meet a lot of people in life who, why would I try any harder? Because that was good enough. And we always say it's never good enough. It could always be better.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when you get into writing. I mean, for heaven's sake, you could change every other word in every book if you wanted to one day, and then do it again the next day and the next day. And before you know it, you're just editing all the time and never publishing anything, right?
That's true. Yeah. And by the time this last book, I went through it so many times, I got tired of it. So, okay, I'm ready to let it go out into the world now because I'm tired of it.
Yeah, most people are not writers. I mean, they don't write books like you do. But one thing that we have found is writing the book is actually the best time you'll have in your life as a writer. It's all of the nonsense and junk that comes after you finish writing the first draft, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of work to do after you finish the first draft because I go through it. I don't know how many times I went through the last one, but
a couple of million at least. But it's that kind of due diligence and work ethic that can prepare you for the presidency of anything, but in this case, AANR-Southwest.
Yeah.
You guys have, as I recall, 4 states: Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas. But before we started, you said you have a piece of Mexico as well. Is that right?
Yeah. AANR divides. Well, Mexico has its own federation. So, but AANR wants to represent the entire continent. So, we've got Canada. We've got one region that's entirely in Canada. And AANR East covers part of Canada. I think maybe Midwest covers the middle part of it. I'm not sure how they divided Canada up since we're way down here, but Mexico is divided according to the site. And they don't have maps. They just describe how Mexico is divided. And apparently you take a line, a north-south line from Juarez, Mexico. Everything west of that is part of AANR West. On the east, the 3 Mexican states in the Yucatan Peninsula, Quintana Roo, and I think Yucatan may be one. I can't remember the other one. But those 3 states are part of the AANR Florida region. And then everything in the middle is part of the AANR Southwest region.
Wow. That keeps you pretty busy. Are you traveling a lot for this job, or can you do it all from a home office and computer and phone?
I travel some for it. I'm trying to get to all of the the landed resorts, and I haven't gotten to all of them yet. There are some down around the Rio Grande Valley that I haven't been to. Sandpipers and Nature's Resort, I want to go visit, and one close to Houston called Emerald Lake. I've talked to them on the phone, but I haven't been there to visit yet. And as far as Mexico goes, I did go down to Mexico City to cover the Dia al Desnudo that Hector Martinez ran. It's one of his events that he organized. Got to meet Hector finally.
Yeah, good.
We see these people online for years and years and years and don't ever get to meet them in person. And then when we finally do, it's, oh, hey.
An actual human.
Yeah.
Well, what's it like? Well, first of all, let's get the numbers out there. According to your website, AANR Southwest, you have 2,000 members in over 20 resorts. Is that fairly up to date, or the numbers changed at all?
I think so. We're over 2,000. Seems like it's 20 something. I don't know. It's 20 something hundred. It's between 2,000 and 2,500, I think.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good number. Now, the state I want to ask you about first is Arkansas, because we get a lot of information here from people in Arkansas. They basically are afraid, I'm exaggerating a bit, but afraid to get naked to shower. The laws are so prohibitive. Is that basically what goes on in the state of Arkansas? Public nudity is totally banned?
Well, I was born in Fort Smith, and then I went to the University of Arkansas for my first year of college. And it was there that I first modeled nude for an art class.
Okay.
Which was funny because I had seen an episode of Three's Company where Jack Tripper was trying to impress a girl like he always was doing, and volunteers to model. Her model doesn't show up for her class, and so he volunteers, not knowing it's a nude modeling.
Okay.
So I knew that they did that. I figured, it's New York and California, but University of Arkansas would probably never do that. And then a girl said, that I knew, said that she drew nude models in her art class, and I just immediately wanted to do it. So I signed up and did it. So my first several modeling gigs were at the University of Arkansas, and they were full nude. But if you read the law, it was kind of contrary to it. That you can't be nude in front of a person of the opposite sex unless it's either your doctor or your spouse. It's a law that's on the books, but nobody follows it. Nobody enforces it.
Okay.
Because it's really, number one, it's blatantly unconstitutional. There's a law in the books that says you can't publicly advocate for nudism.
Wow.
Like you can't put a billboard or a sign up saying, nudism is good for the soul, good for the body and the spirit. You can't do that in Arkansas, but you can't really enforce that, because I think the powers that be know if they did and got some kind of judgment or sentence, verdict against somebody, that it would be overturned on constitutional basis. So they just never enforce it, but it's on the books.
Okay.
I know a guy, one of our directors, Bill, he has been trying to, he moved to Oklahoma. He moved to Oak Lake Trails. But before that, he lived in Fort Smith, and he was trying to get somebody to charge him with violating those laws. He would have nude get-togethers at his house, and he'd advertise them to everybody, and he'd call up the sheriff of whatever county it was and say, I'm going to have this nude party, and it's against the law, so if you want to come and, cite us for it, then come on. Nobody would.
Yeah. Well, there is an element of risk. What if they actually showed up and did arrest people? Then even if you don't go to prison for life, it's still going to ruin your day or maybe the next few weeks or months, right?
Yeah, well, it would get you tied up in court, which was what Bill was trying to do, because he wanted to get some of these laws declared unconstitutional, because they plainly are. Yeah. But, nobody has standing to challenge them and get them declared unconstitutional, because nobody's been charged under them.
Wow. Well, how would that work in Arkansas? I'm guessing the state, same way as most states, that you get convicted, you appeal to some jurisdiction, and maybe a state Supreme Court, but eventually you'd have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court if they would take the case, right?
Yeah, you would go. I don't know what the progress would be. Eric would know, but since he is an attorney, he's our executive director of AANR. I assume you'd go to a state appellate court, maybe a state Supreme Court, and then it would go, and then from there you appeal to a federal district court or something. Yeah, and then start the process in the federal courts. I don't think it would need to get to the Supreme Court. I think a judge with any sense could look at the laws that are on the books in Arkansas and go, well, that's a violation of the Constitution right there.
Okay. Well, how is it a violation of the Constitution? And we're just talking about regular, non-threatening, clothes-free living for all the right reasons, as we say. You're nude in your backyard, enjoying the sun. You don't have any neighbors seeing you, but eventually somebody walks by and sees you. You get charged. How is that against the Constitution, as far as you know?
Well, I mean, the law in Arkansas that we were really trying to go after was just simply advocating for nudism,
Hmm.
Because it's just a blatant violation of freedom of speech. I can go out there and in any other state and say, I'm a member of AANR. I think nude recreation is good for our bodies, good for our souls, good for our spirits, and it's a great way to live. If I said that in Arkansas in a public forum or of some kind, well, that's contrary to that law in Arkansas, which
Wow.
it's kind of a freedom of speech thing, I guess, First Amendment.
Well, the old adage of, you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, would they try to apply that to it, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I don't see how you could. I mean,
Yeah.
being nude and you're in your own backyard,
Yeah.
it seemed like the person who saw you would, if they, had to look over a fence, charge them with a peeping Tom or
Oh,
something.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It's Arkansas is such a strange state.
Yeah.
They claim that their slogan is the natural state.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can't, you literally cannot be in your natural state in the natural state.
Yeah. Well, we had a guest on the show around the same time as you. He might have been 5 and 6 or 9 and 10, episode wise.
Yeah.
From Arkansas. And he said, you have to understand Arkansas. There's a church on every corner of every town, and people believe a certain way, and they believe for whatever reason, which is the antithesis of what it says in the Bible. They believe that nudity is wrong. He goes, so when you butt heads with these people, they're really serious. They think if our creator said nudity is bad, which he didn't, as you know.
Yeah.
Because you have kids, and everybody is born clothes free. So that's how he made us. It's probably correct. Yet the lawmakers in Arkansas saw it a different way. And the law that's on the books, I'm guessing, was put up, 100 years ago, 200 years ago?
It was in the 1950s, I think.
Oh.
And there was one particular minister, and I don't remember his name, that really drove it, that lobbied the legislators and had them write it and pass it. So it was basically the work of one crusader who thought he was doing good, but
that's all it takes.
Really wasn't.
I'm surprised it's actually, to me, that's fairly recent in terms of, overall historical value. I was thinking 1700s, 1800s, or whenever Arkansas became a state, but that's not all that long ago. We have people in AANR who were born in the 50s, so it's not like it's prehistoric times, right?
Yeah, no, yes, it wasn't that long ago. So,
wow. What about the other 3 states? Now, Oklahoma, you mentioned Oak Lake Trails. That's in Oklahoma, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The state of naturism in the state of Oklahoma is pretty relaxed, or not?
I'm not sure how it is outside of the Oak Lake Trails. I know Oak Lake Trails does a lot in the community. If you drive Highway 66 toward Oak Lake Trails, there's a sign up that says this freeway has been adopted by the Oak Lake Trails Naturist Park, and that's what it says on the sign. And I was there one day when they were getting volunteers. They had to get dressed and put the orange vest on and go pick up the trash along that stretch of highway that they've adopted. But that sign's out there, and so people can see it. And if they, it says Naturist Park, it doesn't say Nudist Park.
Yeah.
So people would need to know, but it's there, and people driving by can see the sign. So, they're very active in the community. I think a young lady, no, I don't know how young she is, but I did meet her at the AANR convention. But she did a story in one of the newspapers there, in the county where Oak Lake Trails is, and she actually won an award from AANR for the best article by a non-nudist.
That's great.
And she actually showed up to collect her award.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
Did we get her involved in the naturism community, or was she just strictly clothes-free before and after?
Well, she's also written some novels. I read one of them just to give her a little support. Her name's Emily Kolka, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, she went out and did a story on it, and then she came out and collected her award at AANR. So she's got a pretty good relationship with him. She talked to Gary Spangler. Gary Spangler is very active in AANR, or has been over the years, but he was one of the founding members of Oak Lake Trails.
Oh, wow.
So she's got a good relationship with him, and because they were talking quite a bit as she was leaving at the AANR convention.
Okay, now relating that back to Arkansas for a moment, if you put a sign out there, whatever were stated, I'm guessing you don't have any nudist clubs in Arkansas. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we don't have any affiliated clubs. That's for sure.
Okay, but if you did, and they put a sign up, this stretch of highway is sponsored by ABC Nudist Resort, they'd get in big trouble for that. You think?
Probably. I mean, somebody would prevent them from putting the sign up for sure.
Okay.
But I don't know what the process would be if they wanted to actually charge them with cite them for violating that one statute.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is, unconstitutional, but it's there. So nobody can, you can't open a nudist resort in Arkansas because number one, to open anything, you got to go through so many permits, and somebody would see, oh, nudist. Well, you can't have the permit, so you can't open the resort.
Well, you could open it, I'm somewhat being silly here, open it as a clothing resort. And then when the police show up to check it out and everybody's naked as jaybird, you say, I'm only the owner. I can't force the people to stay dressed. That probably wouldn't go over too big with the law enforcement.
Probably not, but but then somebody, whoever, that would get cited, and then he would have standing to challenge some of these laws.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, what about Texas, where you are? My understanding is Texas is pretty comfortable with naturism and has very few problems with it, or am I incorrect?
Well, we've got Hippie Hollow, which is a public park. Yeah. It's actually run by the county. Wow. Whatever county Austin is in. But it's the only public park in Texas where that's clothing optional. Okay. And we've got some World Naked bike rides that happen. I participated in one in Austin. It was a nighttime ride, and man, I need to ride bikes more because my quads were like screaming at me trying to ride this bike in the Austin World Naked bike ride. But we have laws on there's the law against indecent exposure. Okay. Which states that it has to be done for the sexual gratification of somebody, either the person exposing himself or the person seeing it, which doesn't apply to regular naturist activity, because we're just nude. We're not trying to sexually gratify anybody. But they wrote a clause into the statutes against, what do you call it? Disorderly conduct, that where if you're nude and you're reckless about being seen by anybody else who might be offended, well, then they can cite you for disorderly conduct, which is, a Class C misdemeanor or whatever. Yeah. So that does keep a lot of the public nudity down. I guess the police just kind of look the other way for the World Naked bike ride. Yeah.
Well, there's something about the World Naked bike ride is based on some level of protesting, which is legal. Yeah. That's how a lot of places get away with that, right?
Yeah, I don't know if the officials in Texas would grant an exemption from the disorderly conduct if they're, I don't think they would have to, but when they're doing the World Naked bike ride, they just kind of look the other way. They don't want to arrest everybody and it's associated with it.
And a lot of times that's the best way to do things. I mean, I call it no harm, no foul. The guy or gal, they're not hurting anybody. Yeah. So why, if you get involved as law enforcement, you're just going to make it worse, and you're going to get attention and media, and like you said, it can go to court and be appealed, and all because one officer decided to be a hero that day, and you just let it go. And again, if nobody is hurt or, as you said, offended, which I want to talk about that word in a minute, then it would be okay. Yeah. Now, on the topic of offended, I mean, there's no actual legal determination of that as far as I know. It's from person to person. So you might be offended at one thing and I'm not. Well, how do you decide if the third person is doing something wrong or not? It's really impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's legal to be nude unless you're reckless about somebody else being offended. Well, why is somebody else offense right. dictate whether it's legal or not? Why can't I be? Why don't I have the liberty to be in my natural state? So it's like I don't know. Those laws are kind of weird to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not as though you can show up and hand out a questionnaire to everybody within a 3 mile radius. Are you offended? Would you be offended?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and nobody said they're offended, so I get naked now. It
yeah,
just, we've talked about this on the show a lot. That's why we call it clothes-free living for all the right reasons. It makes no sense.
yeah. It
Even on
doesn't.
the internet, you see, videos of guns and violence and stabbings and other really bad stuff. But a naked body, oh my gosh, we got to protect the world from that. Makes no sense to me at all, and I'm guessing
Yeah.
makes no sense to you either.
No, it doesn't make any sense to me. And in my family, we've been iced in for a couple of days. Um, they were watching like videos on YouTube, like fail army or people doing stupid things, and some of them were like animal, crazy animal videos.
Yeah.
And they said this animal, and I noticed that they had blurred out the animal's genitalia. I
An
thought,
animal.
what? What?
An animal. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Was that a local show or a national show, or we don't know?
Oh, it's just something on YouTube.
Okay.
I forget what channel that was.
Okay.
My kids like to watch. I don't know. It's part of the short attention span. They watch these little video compilation of video clips on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now YouTube is a little bit over the line to me, and Patreon is the other one. We put a cartoon up, a naturism cartoon.
Yeah.
And it did show, again, a sketch. It wasn't a real human being, just a drawing of a topless woman. And the topless part had nothing to do with it other than showing she's a naturist. And whatever the words were something funny, unrelated to her being topless. So totally innocuous to me, totally harmless. Well, we got in some trouble for that. And they said, you can't post that stuff and put it out there for the world to see. Now we have paying members on Patreon. So they said, you can send it to your paying people because they know what they're getting into, but to put it out there for free, we can't allow that. And we got in a degree of trouble and took us a while to dig our way out of that. But how ridiculous is that, Dan?
Yeah, that's I don't know. It's just like, YouTube says that they will censor nudity or will not allow nudity that's meant to be sexually stimulating or whatever.
Yeah.
I posted a video of me at what do they call it? The festival that I go to. I go to a festival every year in April, and it was just me in one of the workshops, and I was naked, and everybody else was clothed. And I said, this is just like a documentary footage. This is I'm not sexually gratifying anybody or anything. It was just it's just me. It's just this is what happened. And they took it down right away. But they had this fashion show that goes on, I think, I don't know, in Amsterdam, maybe. It's called the ISIS fashion shows, where ISIS fashion awards is what it is. And it's accessories, like necklaces or rings or bags or, hats. Yeah. And the models come out nude and they model these accessories.
Yeah.
And the ISIS fashion shows that had video clips of their shows, and the models are coming out completely nude. Yeah. And that was on there for a long time. Although I noticed last month that YouTube finally took them down.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, like you said, 100% nude, except maybe a pair of earrings.
Yeah.
And somehow that was okay, which to me it is.
Yeah.
But to YouTube, it didn't make any sense. Dan Hawkins goes on there with a little video of a festival. I'll kind of take that down. But all these naked women parading with a watch or a pair of earrings, that's okay. To me, it's all okay. Makes no sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But, I thought, I didn't bring it up to YouTube, but I pointed it out, to my Twitter followers that, how is my video not okay when the ISIS fashion shows are? Well, apparently somebody at YouTube decided, well, okay, we're going to take those down, and when it go to the link where the video was, it said that it was removed. So I don't think the ISIS Fashion Awards took them down. I think YouTube took them down.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems with complaining. If they take your video down, you complain, and it might trigger them to say, well, let's look around here for more naked stuff. And then 10 people get taken down. So you end up losing even more by trying to win the fight sometimes. It's ridiculous, at least to us. And I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is.
No kidding. What about Louisiana? That's the fourth state we haven't talked about. How is naturism? Is it alive and well in Louisiana?
It's alive, and there's an on-landed club that I've sent some emails to. They haven't really responded. I've visited Indian Hills, which is on the eastern part of Louisiana. In fact, if you go due north, you hit Mississippi. And I visited them on the way back from Florida one day. I had just been elected president, so it was new, and it was I don't know, it was a strange vibe there. I thought, but the resort seems to be doing well. They had a lot of people visiting that day. So
Okay, well, that's good. And you said it's a non-landed club. It's not a.
no,
resort?
that's a landed club.
It is. Okay,
Indian
it
Hills.
is a resort.
Indian Hills
Yeah.
is a resort. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, good. What about overall, like any lakes or waterfronts where you can be nude, or not necessarily?
Not that I know of. They have the Mardi Gras where people, women will expose their breasts to get beads,
Yeah.
and that seems to be all right. I don't know if they've got the top free equality law. That's one thing we do have in Texas, especially in the
Oh.
Austin area, where
Okay.
women can be topless anywhere a man can be.
Wow.
They may have that in Louisiana too, which is why they can do the bead tossing things.
Okay. Well,
But I'm not sure what the legal state right now of it is. I mean, you can have a resort, obviously, because they've got one there in Indian
Mhm.
Hills.
Okay.
So
Well, when you talk about women can be top free wherever men can be top free, you and I can pretty much be shirtless everywhere. Exceptions might be stores or schools or post office or other places
yeah,
of business, but you and I could just walk down the street, no shirt on, and no problem. It's never been a problem.
yeah.
Like you're saying in Texas, or do you know for sure if it's the whole state or just Austin? Women can do the same thing.
Well, I know it's Austin. There might be some local ordinances in other cities that might prohibit it, but I know for Austin for sure. But I rarely, I go to Austin every once in a while, but I rarely see topless women on the streets. I don't see shirtless men that often, but I do see them occasionally.
Yeah.
So they have the freedom to do that. It's just not a lot of them exercise that freedom. I don't guess.
The terrific Dan Hawkins, the current president for AANR-SW, and also an author of naturist fiction and many other genres as well. And on next Saturday's show, which will be episode 191, part 2 with Dan Hawkins. And before we head for the hills until Wednesday's show, let's bring back in our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Welcome back, Lisa.
It's good to be back. I enjoyed that interview very much.
Oh, Dan is terrific.
I love
He, AANR-SW president, author. You have an affinity for authors to begin with.
Yes, I do.
He does a great job and just speaks the truth. Dan is Dan. He's not a phony. He's not a fraud. He's the real deal, and we appreciate him very much.
Yeah, he definitely is, and we do.
Yeah. Now, before we ducked out before Dan's interview, you were on the verge of saying something. I had to cut you off because we're running out of time.
Yes.
What is it you wanted to say, and then we will duck out of here.
I just want to reiterate the fact that the important thing here is AANR, that this organization survives and that it continues to do what it needs to do to support and protect naturists, because heaven knows we're under a fire everywhere we go. And so I think that what everyone needs to consider is just what is best for AANR. And that's all we want, because we support this organization very much. As naturists, we have to have it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we support AANR very much. We support the trustees. Keep on doing what you're doing. Always do the right thing. And Lisa Monroe, with that, let's head for the hills here. Again, the deal is always the same. You promise to stay clothes-free for all the right reasons until Wednesday. We'll have you in for Wednesday's show. How about that?
Well, you're so kind to me, but I will definitely be so anyway, okay?
All right. All right. Have a great few days. We'll see you Wednesday.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 189 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning, 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, and on most Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts. And also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked Nudists and Naturists.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked Nudists and Naturists. Have a great clothes-free day.